to go. And I just don't want the team to forget that we can do that too.
Yeah.
They just know where to start, who to call, how to actually apply, and of course, how they get paid and all that. So that's why I invited you, and I want to introduce you to the team again.
Awesome.
It's all yours, Tony.
Awesome. So, Don, refresh my memory. How much time do I have with you guys? I don't want to overstay my welcome.
I mean, here we usually have 30 minutes, 30 to 45
Okay.
minutes.
I can do. Yeah. I'll try to do it in 30 to leave some room for some questions.
For Q&A in the end.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to go kind of quick, guys. So,
alrighty.
All right. So let me start. I'll share my screen here. There we go. Everyone see that okay?
It's clear.
Okay. All right. Okay. So, yeah, Don, you kind of started me off beautifully because you guys all have wonderful partners that offer you awesome products that change people's lives. So that's why we love working with you all, because you're out there, doing great work, helping families, changing lives, making a difference, financial education. It's a big deal. And you're offering products to people who, a lot of them wouldn't know where to go. And it's a big deal. But that those clients that Don touched on that want your help and need your help but can't afford your help, what do you do with them? So I want to kind of let you know when to use, because you guys have awesome partners, but you need to know when to use them, right? So so Debtmerica is that partner that you'll use when you've done the kitchen table presentation, you've done the financial needs analysis, and there's no money there. They want your help, need your help, can't afford your help, and they can't even afford to do debt stacking, because that's an awesome option. I love debt stacking or snowballing or whatever you want to call it. If you're not familiar with it, it's you've got credit cards, you overpay as much as possible. One credit card, maybe the one with the largest interest rate or largest balance, and maintain minimum payments on the others. When one's paid off, you switch and get rid of the next one. Great way to go. This is for the client who can't even afford to do that. There's just no money left over, and they're struggling and they're stressed out. That's who you'll bring over to Debtmerica. Real briefly, I'll go into kind of what's happened before, because we've been doing this in partnership with World Financial Group for over 13 years. We've been doing it over 19 years ourselves. I've been myself doing it about 13 years. And we were going gangbusters before the shutdown, before the COVID shutdown. You guys were bringing us clients right and left. Everyone was wanting to get out of debt. You were getting them financially set. And then the shutdown hit. And if you remember, it was supposed to be like a week or two at first, and then grew to a month, 2 months, and of course, 3 to 4 years, right? So as that was happening, uncertainty was in the air, which breeds fear, right? So people decided maybe debt settlement is not the time for debt settlement, because I might need my credit cards, right? So my financial path will wait. I might hold on to my cards. In fact, most people held on to their cards and also got more cards. And in addition to that, unfortunately, they thought they needed to get like these large unsecured loans, like, for $10,000, $20,000, sometimes more. And I'm talking loans with high interest rates. And why did they do that? Because, again, it was such uncertainty. The only thing that was about is protecting their families, keeping a roof over their family's head, feeding their families. So they wanted that nest egg, that just in case. Interest rate was crazy, but, hey, I'll deal with that when I have to. I want to make sure my family's taken care of. That was a lot of people. Now things are settling down. Economy's coming back. Unemployment's at a low for now. Staving off inflation with interest rate hikes. I'm sure I'll notice that. And of course, that not only affects mortgage rates and other things, it affects credit card interest rates. So a lot of families were kind of coming out of the COVID thing where they've got a lot of debt, that they're dealing with now. And they may have just been getting by with minimum payments. And this last series of interest rate hikes, they might not be able to afford minimum payments now. I'm telling you this because there's a lot of debt out there, and it's a scary place to be when you're in debt. It's a lonely place, and people don't like to talk about it. So it's up to you. And you guys are awesome because you're out there with wanting to change and help people. and change their lives. And that begins with an honest, real conversation, and a lot of folks out there are struggling. It's something that you don't want to talk about. Again, I was in debt when I was younger, and it's a lonely, mentally straining place to be. You're ashamed a lot of times, and you don't want to ask for options because you don't want people to know you're in it. So it's up to you to kind of reach out. It's a great way to start a conversation, especially right now. If you're a new agent, you do not need to be a licensed agent to help a family with Debtmerica and get a referral fee. And it's also a great way to see how people are doing, checking in. And if they don't have debt, guarantee you they know someone with debt, or family or a friend. So that being said, we talked about debt stacking already, but when a client can't afford your services, can't afford your financial products, and again, the main goal is to get that you bring that client over to Debtmerica. Our goal is to get them debt free in under 4 years, reduce their overall total debt. The main gift we'll give that client though is reducing their monthly minimum payment significantly, as much as half. So that does two things. One, it puts them in solution, which, that's a ton of bricks off their shoulders because, oh my gosh, I'll be debt free in under 4 years or quicker. But that reduction of minimum payments going out is a load off because they were struggling, not sure how they're going to survive. Now they've got breathing room. They've got breathing room, and also enough breathing room in most cases that you can now offer them those financial products, whether it's life insurance, college funding, whatever it is, to get them on that right path. So it's a win-win. So again, for those folks who can't afford debt stacking, a few options for them. Debt consolidation, which is a loan. It's a great option if you can get what you want. But the truth is, when we feel that we need to do something and consolidate our debt, in most cases it's too late. Either our debt to income ratio is too high or credit score is too low. And because of debt consolidation, if you get what you want, would be great, right? You get a really low interest rate with a really low payment. You pay off all your credit cards, you get one payment. Your credit score won't affect it negatively, might even enhance it. That's a beautiful thing. But again, most people will not qualify by the time they come into me because you need both, right? You need a low debt to income ratio and a good credit score to get a nice debt consolidation loan. So in most cases, that's not going to be the case. Credit card counseling has been around since credit cards have been around, even before, when we started with store credit, back in the 60s, when people could not afford to buy Frigidaires or stoves, that type of thing, furniture. The folks who couldn't afford to buy it and pay for it in cash, they offered store credit. But that credit back then was meant to get paid off very quickly, within 6 months, maybe a year. Interest rates were high, the payments were high. So they started credit card counseling. It's a nonprofit, but someone's behind a nonprofit. In this case, it's the credit card companies, right? So they started it not because they're wonderful, caring people. I mean, maybe they are, but they did it because they wanted the payments to keep coming in. They didn't want people to file bankruptcy. They wanted those minimum payments to keep going. So what their solution was lowering the interest rates to make it manageable for clients. So back then, it actually made a difference and lowered the payments. But in the 80s, they revamped credit. Now you can be in debt for 20 years to pay off $6,000, and the terms are much longer. So today, the reality is they can lower the interest rates, and it's not going to affect your monthly payment. And the reason I'm mentioning this and making including that in my presentation is with the clients that come to me, they're grateful that I'm reducing their overall debt, but what they really need is monthly relief. They're struggling, Yeah, great. You can help me reduce overall debt, but how am I going to survive this month and next month? They need month-to-month relief, and they don't get that with credit card counseling. And bankruptcy is an option that should be the last resort. Why? Because it affects the credit profile negatively. Stays on for 7 to 10 years. And it's truly harder, much harder these days to get qualified for a Chapter 7, which is the type of bankruptcy you're going to want if you're filing a bankruptcy for unsecured debt like credit cards and unsecured loans, because the Chapter 7 wipes it clear. It forgives it all. That's what you're going to want. Hard to qualify for Chapter 7 these days because in 2008, we had the mortgage meltdown, the housing market crashed, and everyone and their brother, it seems, was filing for that Chapter 7. So there were so many, they decided to make the qualifications a little harder. So now anyone can file for a Chapter 7, but they're going to take a very hard look at your financials. So if you have assets like you're a homeowner or you're making a decent income, more than likely they'll shift you over into some sort of reorganizational bankruptcy like a 13, which doesn't reduce the debt, doesn't lower your payments. It just protects you from lawsuits, which is a good thing, but it doesn't get you relief, and that's what most people are needing. So with Debtmerica, which is debt settlement, that's what we do. The whole goal is to get the client debt-free fast, reduce the overall total debt, and this I'm going to hammer in my whole training is lowering the payments. That's the most important thing, really, that we do for clients. That helps you help them in other ways. It also gives them relief and a manageable way to get out of debt. I'm going to give you an example here of a client with $30,000 of credit card debt. For this example's purpose, I'm giving them 3 to 4% interest rates. So with that, if they're making just minimum payments, they're going to be paying $900 to $1,200 per month. And with those minimum payments, if that's all they're making, they're going to be paying back $90,000. It'll take them 20 to 30 years to pay off, which is crazy, right? But that's interest. That's like interest on credit cards. Credit card counseling, as we talked about before, they lower the interest rate. So quite a bit less interest, right, that they're paying. So that's good. But again, they're paying back all the debt plus some interest, 5 to 10 years to pay off. So better than making minimum payments. But this is the main reason it does not work for most people. Need monthly relief. You do not get that with credit card counseling. So debt settlement, again, which is what Debtmerica does, on average, we're going to reduce the debt by about a third. So 30, we get down to about 20,000, and it will vary depending on who the creditors are. But on average, it's by a third. And 2 to 4 years is the average time frame. We'll get a client debt free. It's up to the client how quickly we go. We'll go as quickly as they're able to. Most of the clients that come to us need as much breathing room monthly as we can offer them. They need the lowest monthly payment, so they'll opt for the 4-year term, but they can at any time change that. But for this example, if they needed the lowest monthly payment, they'd opt for that 48-month term, 4-year term, and the payment would be approximately $500 per month. And if they want to get done, in this example, in 2 years, they'd be paying $750. But when they come to us, we'll give them options of 4 years, 3 years, 2 years, 1 year. We'll do all that. And just a quick overview: clients make affordable payments. Funds accumulate in an FDIC-insured bank account. And it's in the client's name alone, this bank. It's not in our name. They have full access to it. And what we'll do is we'll set up an automatic draft from the client's checking or savings account on a date that works for them. And every month it will draft and go into this account. And they'll be able to see exactly what's in there. And again, we can't touch it. It's not in our name. But what we're doing is we're accumulating a balance. And usually after 2 or 3 months, there's enough in that account that we can reach out to that first creditor, negotiate the lowest settlement that we can with them. And once we do that, we present it to the client, and the client has to approve it. And if the client doesn't approve it, they say, no, I don't think so. They can do that. And then we'll just move on to the next creditor. We'll revisit that one later on. Most of the time they say yes, because we do a pretty good job. But when they say yes, with their permission, we'll go into that FDIC insured bank account, settle with that creditor, and then we'll just start saving again. And then, when there's enough, we'll go on to the next creditor. So we just repeat the same process until the client's debt free. And again, 2 to 4 years is the average time frame to get the client through the program. So when, just to give you a kind of an overview, and let me, I meant to do this first, I'm going to share it with you in a minute, but to give you a head start, if you're not registered with Debtmerica, please do so. And I don't mind if you do it while I'm training. You can multitask. So I'm going to give you, and I'll show it to you in a little down the road, but wfg.debtmerica.com. wfg.debtmerica.com, and it's DEBTMERICA, it's Debtmerica, not Debt America. And it'll take you 5 minutes to get through that and get registered, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. But once you're registered, and you'll fill out a couple of things, and you'll be able to refer clients to us. And you click Add Referral. There's a green button. You put the client's name, client's email address, client's phone number, the state they live in, and then you'll hit submit, and it comes over to one of our agents. They'll contact you and say, hey, we got your referral. Thank you so much. We're going to contact the client. Now, what we do when we contact the client is we call them, but we also send them a couple emails. One email is a link that will let them pull their debt for us. It's a soft pull. It does not affect the credit score whatsoever. What it does do is we have an automated underwriting system. So it will just pull their unsecured debt, and it tells us if we can help them, how much we can save them overall, how much we can save them, monthly, also based off of getting them done in 4 years, what their payment be, or how much the payment would be if we got it done in 3 years, 2 years, 1 year. So we'll give them all these options. We'll give them what our fees are. Everything's very, it's very transparent. We'll give them everything in the breakdown with absolutely no obligation. And I want to stress, we're not here to sell your clients at all. We're here to inform them. We're the same mindset as all of you. We want to help folks. Sometimes ours is the best option for them, and sometimes it's not, and that's okay. We want them to make the best decision for themselves. So we'll be able to go over and give them all real information of what our program can do for them, and it's up to them to decide whether the program is beneficial for them. And then once they pull that, and sometimes we'll talk to them before, sometimes they'll pull it before we get a hold of them, but usually we'll talk to them first, just so you know how that conversation goes. We'll say, hey, your agent, your WFG agent asked me to give you a call. So you have some debt that you might need some options for, some help with. And, we'll ask, okay, is it credit card debt? Is it unsecured debt? No, tell me about it. I'm just going back when I was working with clients, and my team does pretty much the same way. I'd say, well, are you making payments? Because they don't have to be making payments. If they're in full collections, we can still help them. It doesn't matter. Most people are making payments. But I'll ask them that. And for this example, I'll say they're making payments. And then I would tell them what I just told you. Most of the folks we're helping are making payments, but they would tell me that while they're making payments, it's just the minimum payments. And after they're making those minimum payments, there's nothing left over for them to save. And so they can't save for their family's future. And that's causing the stress, and that's part of the problem here. And also because it's just the minimum payments, they're not seeing the balances go down. So they feel stuck. And that's adding, of course, to the stress. And I'll ask them, can you relate to one or both of these things? Does that ring true in any way? Most of the clients that I have a conversation with will say, yes, that's exactly what's going on. And I'll go, okay, and I'll go over, what I just went over with you, how our program works. But then I'll go, okay, but to do that, for us to help you, you're going to have to stop using these credit cards, and you're going to have to stop paying on them. And that's the scary part, right? That's going to cause your credit score to drop. It'll drop initially, but the good news is it's going to come back. And by the time we're done and settled all your debt, you'll actually have a higher credit score than you did when you came to us. And in addition, your debt to income ratio, which is 99% of the time when they come to me, is going to be way out of whack. Once we're done and we get all this settled for you, your debt to income ratio will be nice and in line, be nice and low. So you have a nice high credit score, so debt to income ratio. So the whole credit profile is what we're trying to make healthy here, which both of those will equal to the credit profile. So once we get it through, you'll have a nice healthy credit profile, and you'll be able to go on to buy a home or whatever it is you need to do. But, and I'll ask them, knowing this, your end result will be great. You'll be in great shape. But while we're in the midst of this, again, your credit score will drop, and until we get you through this, your score is going to be under repair, so to speak. So you really want to have access to credit. So knowing this, does this still sound like an option that will work for you or no? I don't want to waste their time. I want them to know exactly how the program works and whether it's going to benefit them or not. And most of the time they're going to say, yeah, I need to do something. And every once in a while they say no, because even though I know they're struggling, and I've been doing this a while, so I tell you, a lot of folks are working 2 to 3 jobs just to maintain the minimum payments because they're trying to do the right thing, but they don't know all the options. So they're married to that credit score, so they're not looking at the big picture. Sometimes they forget that even though they might have a decent credit score, their debt to income ratio is so high that credit score doesn't mean anything. It's like a false read, because you need to get the debt to income ratio down, and you can't do that until you get rid of the debt. So, they're on the hamster wheel. So some folks just need to kind of take a break. I've been doing it a long time, and so those folks who are not ready because they just can't let that credit score go, a lot of times I'll hear back from 3 months later, sometimes 6 months, sometimes a year later, because they tried other things and it didn't work. So, but they're ready when they're ready. And again, I just want to stress, we're not here to sell them anything. We're here to present them information and give them truthful, reality of what we can do, and if we can give them other options with other companies, or other ways to go, we of course will do that too. Because again, sometimes ours is not the best option. And they'll experience collection calls. We want to make sure they understand that. No way around that. It's just part of it. We want to make sure they understand it's not personal. These folks calling them, making the collection calls, are just trying to make a living. They're calling you because their boss told them to call you. And we encourage them to answer the calls. We're going to give them a script. It's very simple and basic. Basically, I'm going through a financial hardship. Phone just rang. Okay, I'm sorry. So we'll encourage them to answer the calls. We'll give them a script. The script will basically say, I'm going through a financial hardship and I'm working on a solution. I'm going to get back to you as soon as I figure something out. You know? And that's it. We want them to answer for two reasons. One, because mentally it's going to help us. It makes us feel better because we're not dodging anything. So it's just a mentally good thing to do. And the bonus is if they have even the briefest of conversation with these creditors, they cannot call them, the creditors cannot call them for 2 business days. So it's kind of a win-win, right? Now, if they choose to just let it go to voicemail, of course they can do that, but we'll encourage them to answer the phone call. And in rare cases, creditors will sue. It rarely happens, but it's a possibility. So we really want some good options just in case that does happen. So if they do get served, a summons or court papers from a creditor, they just give us a call. We have a network of attorneys, and we'll supply that client with an attorney at our cost. The client would be responsible for court fees, so we'll take care of the attorneys. Cost of the program. So one of the things I love most about the program is performance-based, meaning there are no upfront fees, meaning we don't get paid anything. So we successfully do what we're supposed to do, which is settling the debt. And that's with the client's approval again. The fee range, when you see at the bottom there, will be anywhere from 18 to 25% of the debt enrolled. And this is, in Nevada, that will be a little bit different. I can get more information on that for you later. But in California, Texas, North Carolina, which I think are the folks on with us, that's what it would be, 18 to 25%. It'll be based on the amount of debt enrolled, which is so from 10,000 to 19,999, it would be at 25%. 20,000 to 29,999 be 23%. It goes down from there. And again, when your client fills that link out that pulls their debt, we're going to have that fee for them. So again, they'll know up front what our fees are, and we'll map it out for them. You see that 4.5 to 6%. I don't want to confuse anyone, but the only reason that's there is because some clients like to compare their credit card interest rates to our fees. So if you take 18 to 25% and divide it by 4 years, that would be like 4.5 to 6%. That's all that is. So minimum total debt, and this is for most states. Nevada is a little different, so I'll go over Nevada in a minute. But like for California, Texas, North Carolina, because I know you guys are on the line, it's $10,000 is the minimum. Okay? And the type of debt would be, of course, credit cards, medical debt, absolutely. Business debts the business debt would need to be under the client's social security number. If the client has like a separate corporation with a separate tax ID and there's debt attached to that tax ID, only way I can help with that is that tax ID and corporation is no longer active. If it's been dissolved and there's still debt there, which happens, sometimes it's quite a bit of debt, I can help with that. But if it's still an active corporation, I cannot. Absolutely, we help with collection accounts. Personal credit lines would be unsecured loans, kind of like what I talked about. People were taking out these large unsecured loans with the high interest rates. We help with those. And deficiency balance is a repossession, so of a vehicle, usually a car or truck. And just to stress the point that if the client has possession of the vehicle, I cannot help with that because that's secured debt. But if the client's car or truck or whatever it was repossessed by the finance company, or maybe the client couldn't afford payment, so they called the finance company and voluntarily surrendered their vehicle, what happens next is the finance company auctions the vehicle off, sends the client a bill for the difference, what they owed on the vehicle minus what they got at auction, and that's known as a deficiency balance. But once the client has that deficiency balance, we can sell that just like a credit card and student loans. Now, Nevada is a little tricky, so when you if you have student loans, talk to your agent about that, because sometimes we can, sometimes we can't. It's a little trickier for Nevada, because Nevada, just real quickly, the way why it's different in certain states like Nevada, certain states require attorneys to be on retainer at all times. Nevada is one of those, so the guidelines are a little bit different. But student loans, private student loans only, not federal. But if the client has private student loans, it's something that we can help with. So these are some of we're in most states, right? But these are some of the states right now, or these are all the states that we're not in. We're lobbying to get in some of these states. Okay. So if you have clients, if you come across a client who's in one of these states, check with us. My hope is within 6 months, we'll be in at least a couple of them. But right now we are not in these states. And just real quick, with Nevada, the minimum is 15,000, and not 10,000. And other than that, it works out to be about the same. The fees are different, but the other fees are lower, so it works out to be the same benefits for the client. It's just kind of mapped out differently because of attorneys involved, because we have to add attorney fees to it. But there's still a savings for the client. If not, of course, you wouldn't move forward. But that's the only difference, and 15,000 is the minimum for Nevada and some other states. All right, so I'm going to just briefly. I'm gonna just rush through just Optima. Actually, I'm gonna rush through really quick because I want to leave time for Q&A for the Debtmerica side. Optima Tax Relief is our sister company, okay? And we help with IRS debt. It's a big, huge difference between the two businesses. The business model for Debtmerica, I love the simplicity of it because I'll know right away, as soon as your client pulls that link for me and we see their credit, I'll know right away if I'm going to save the money. If I can't save the money, you don't use us. It's so simple. I love it. On the tax side, it's a lot more complicated. It's about fixing the tax problem. You know, there's no guarantee we can save the money because it's a lot different dealing and negotiating with the IRS than it is a creditor, of course. If we can save the money, of course we will, but it's not a guarantee. In fact, I'll go one step further. If you have a client that has $25,000 of debt to the IRS or less, encourage them to go directly to the IRS and work out an installment agreement, because most of the time there's going to be any reduction, and they'll just get into an installment agreement, which we can do for the client, but we'll charge them, and I don't want to charge something I know they can do. Now, we do great work. I think we shine more with the complicated stuff. We help individuals, also small businesses and huge corporations. We do it all, but again, it's the more complicated when it comes to payroll taxes is where we really kind of you see the benefit in using Optima Tax Relief. So it's a great source, but for the right problems. So again, the guarantee is we'll solve the tax problem. Absolutely. It's a two-phase process. There's an investigation phase. So if the client's been garnished already, which is usually the reason they're calling us, it's already hit the fan. First thing we'll do with the investigation phase is submit a power of attorney to a collection to get the garnish removed. We contact the IRS, talk to the revenue officer, pull IRS transcripts. We pull financials for the client to see exactly what's going on. We'll talk to the IRS about what they're looking for, and we'll devise the most beneficial but most realistic solution to solve this tax problem. And that takes about 2 to 4 weeks. It's only a $95 cost to the client, so they get a lot for the money there. And then we'll make an appointment to go over the results. We'll go over the resolution, the best one we come up with. And depending on how much work it is for the Optima team will depend on how much that charge for the second phase is to the client. It could be $1,000. I mean, it could be tens of thousands of dollars. Remember, we're dealing with all kinds of tax issues. Could be, especially corporations. So it will depend. On average, it's usually between $3,500 to $6,000, I'd say. But again, it's depending on how much work it is for the team. And the client can choose not to move forward. If a lot of times they'll just say not to move forward, but they'll ask us to send them all the information that we pulled from the investigation, and they'll move forward themselves. So it's up to them, of course. Folks we can help on the tax side would be individuals, businesses, or businesses with unpaid taxes of $10,000 or more. We help with a lot of unfiled returns. We've got a great tax department. And again, we have garnishments and levies. We can help with state tax debt as well. It needs to be $20,000 of debt for us to step in with state. Only 10 for IRS. And if someone's being audited, we can step in and show up to the audit with them or for them. Best way to present either Debtmerica or Optima to your clients is, because you don't have to be an expert. I don't expect you to retain much of what I just told you. The best way to present it is really, I got a partner that's an expert in this type of thing. They might have some options for you. Can I have them give you a call? And again, we're not here to solve anything. We just want to provide them information. They can decide what option is best for them. And here is what I verbally gave you, in case I misspoke. You'll know exactly what the port of the website is, wfg.debtmerica.com. So please, if you're not registered, register, and it'll take you just a few minutes, real simple and easy, user-friendly. And if you have any issues, call me. I'm going to give you my information in a minute. Compensation, really simple on the debt side. It's 1% of the debt enrolled or $250, whichever is greater. So $10,000 to $25,000 of debt enrolled, it'd be $250 to you. Anything over $25,000, you'd be 1%. And there's no cap on that. So if a client with $100,000 of debt, you get $1,000, $200,000 of debt enrolled, $2,000, and so on, and no chargebacks. Yay! So that's nice. So if the client makes one payment and no other payments, we still get to pay it. On the tax side, there's two phases, so there's two fees, right? That we get to provide you. So if your client enrolls in the first phase, we get to give you a $250 referral fee. If they enroll in the second phase, which is us fixing the problem for them, it's 1% of the tax debt enrolled. There's a cap of $1,000 on the tax side, not on the debt side, but on the tax side. And that's it. And we provide a service to World Financial Group. If you have clients like a church group or Rotary Club, whatever it is, and you want to provide them something for a reason to get together, it's got a lot of good feedback from this. Understanding, managing, and rebuilding credit. It's like Credit 101. Very simplistic explanation of how credit works, why it's important, and ways to build your credit. It's great for younger folks in their 20s, but truly I've been doing a lot of church groups with folks my age, and everyone seemed to get a lot of benefit and good feedback. So we offer that, of course, as a courtesy to you guys. If there's a need for that, let me know. I'd be glad to arrange it. And this is my information. So please take a snapshot of that, and don't hesitate to, texting is always better. It's my cell phone. You can call me, but texting, you'll get a quicker answer from me, or email. And that's it. And I went a little bit longer than I thought, but do we have time for Q&A done? If we have
questions? First of all, thank you, Tony. And for those people who I've seen, some people who came late, I just want to summarize what I got here. So some of you saw there the minimum is 10,000. Some states like Nevada is 15,000. You get 1% commission on that. At least that's the minimum for you. And you don't have to have a license to do this. Even though you're brand new with WFG, no license, yes, you can refer, okay? As long as you log into that wfg.debtmerica.com. And also, debt-free under 4 years. Payment is cut in half. That's what I got. So if any of you have any more questions, we'll give it 5-10 minutes for a Q&A. So just unmute. Go Ate Wang. Ate Wang, did you unmute? No, I got. Oh, okay. Any other people with a question? How you can enroll and all that?
Did I put everyone to sleep? Is everyone just asleep at their camera?
Reg, any question, Reg? Oh, you're muted.
No, it's actually just a good refresher right now. It's good to know that they kind of have the training for you building your credit. I actually had a client a couple months back that enrolled with Debtmerica, and she's very happy. She was actually going, thinking about doing the bankruptcy path, and so kind of gave this information to her, and then just put her in my referral, which is pretty much easy to do. So now I think she's on the third month of with the 4-year plan.
Awesome. That's so good to hear. Thank you.
All right. Anybody else? Any other question? No? Either it's so clear or he puts you to sleep.
Exactly. That's always my thing. Either I was just so succinct or they were sleeping. Yeah.
All right. So I hope you
But and if questions pop up, again, hope if you take a picture or Don can share my information if you didn't, and don't hesitate to text me. Texting is always better, and I'll call you right back or text you right back.
There you go. And now if you didn't get that picture, just send me a text message. I'll forward the screenshot or forward Tony's number to you.
Yeah.
So going once, any other question? Going twice? We're good? All right, Tony, we appreciate you so much. Thank you for presenting, and then you'll hear more from us.
Absolutely. Whatever you need from me, let me know. Thanks, everyone.
All right. Thanks a lot. Goodbye, everyone. Good night.